Hello and welcome to another episode of Herbal History. In this episode we'll cover a brief history of herbology in Spain, Italy, and southwestern Europe, as well as a brief history of European medical plant studies. Let's get started, shall we? European herbology is represented as a melting pot of different cultures, with ancient texts from ancient Greek writers like Dioscorus, who wrote the Materia Medica, have had an extreme influence in other European countries such as the UK, Germany, and Austria. During the Middle Ages, these ancient texts were transcribed by monks and nuns. Still others like William Turner, Henrik Smid, Rimbard Doedens, Andres Laguna, Petro Andrea Matoi, Juas Melanis, Barkenzi Uzwa, John Gerard, Simon Cinereris, and many others built upon these ancient works. Other Middle Eastern texts were also added into the mix of herbal knowledge and became influential in European herbology. It's through these trade routes and knowledge that the Europeans gained access to medicines based on exotic spices such as black pepper and nutmeg. This information became even more diffused over time thanks to the creation of the Gutenberg printing press, which allowed for the greater diffusion of various texts all across Europe. During the mid-1700s, Carl Linnaeus, the founder of modern taxonomy, as well as many of his contemporaries, traveled further and obtained many different types of medical plants from all across the world. His work also inspired trade between Norway and Sweden to obtain bitterwort roots, which were used for medication. But the harvest was so great that eventually the populations declined in many localities, causing the trade to collapse. Mr. Linnaeus also inspired other people to catalog all their native flora and fauna. A great many different types of herbals were also made during that time period, herbals being books on herbology, often using local knowledge and folklore. Now on to the ethnobotany of Spain. Due to the wide array of different climatic, biological, and cultural variations within Spain, there are a great number of different herbal remedies throughout Spain, especially in rural areas who could not afford modern medication until the 1950s industrialization. However, no ethnobotanical studies or herbal studies were done until the 1980s. But since then, there's been a steady climb of both scientific interest and cultural interest in traditional knowledge found in these regions. So much so that the Spanish government proposed legislation that affirmed the need to promote and conserve traditional knowledge. Based on a study in 2007, the number of species employed as medicinal plants in Spain is around 1,200, or more than 15% of the Spanish flora found in this region. An even larger number of plants used than were discovered in the Materia Medica by Dioscorus. 154 of these species are used in human and animal medicine in Cantabria. 229 species are used in the Granada province, and the herbs are commonly used for common ailments such as colds, digestive disorders, diarrhea, sore throat, minor wounds, and bruises, as well as muscle pain. In Sierra Norte de Madrid, traditional medicine included oregano, mallow, chamomile, and mint for digestive conditions, alongside a wide array of other uses, and black elderberry for respiratory, digestive, and skin disorders. To this day, local healers can still be found who can use combinations of over 100 medical plants to create 1,450 remedies, 230 medical plant species, 31 animal parts, and 29 minerals. So although this knowledge is more rare, it's still available. Now on to the medical herbology history of Italy. The interest in the herbal folklore of Italy first began in the 19th and first half of the 20th century through the interest of different scholars, such as Giuseppe Ferraro. However, it's only been in the past 40 years or so that scientific methods have been used to create ethnobotany papers. And it's been found that there is a wide array of plants and animals that have been used in traditional herbology in Italy. For instance, in Basilica, I'm definitely mispronouncing that, it's been found that over 100 different types of topical remedies have been made using 38 plant species, and about 24% of the local flora in Italy are used for medicinal purposes. And in Liguria, a part of Italy, there's a high consumption of wild species that may also act as functional or medicinal foods. 62% of the traditional remedies found in Italy are still in use to this day. Now on to Southeastern Europe. Various Southeastern Europe have been studied for their herbal history. These include Serbia, Albania, Turkey, Greece, and Kosovo, although this list is non-exhaustive. This would be due to the fact that mountainous areas are hotspots for both biodiversity and a wide array of different cultures and histories. Also, these locations have been historically used for trade routes for different herbal remedies, and a good chunk of the medical plants used back then are still being used to this day. Common species found in these regions include wild onions, various goatweed species, various mint species, olives, and nettles. We'll end this off by talking about the picture you're seeing right now. These are common species grown in Europe for medicinal purposes. Before we close this thing out, I would recommend taking this quick screen cap so you can look these up later. And that concludes the history of herbology of Europe. Thank you for watching.